What's up, YouTube? Back again. Alright, so I want to talk about a little bit about King David and his messengers, something that happened to his messengers, right? Same King David, the David of David and Goliath, right? Who was a shepherd boy who wasn't afraid of Goliath and was upset because the Philistines were speaking against God's people. That same kid became king. So now during the time of him being the king, there was a fellow king that passed away and left his son to be the new king of the kingdom. And David and the father had a decent relationship, but the son was nothing like the father that was friends with King David. So what happens is the king passes away, and David decides to send some messengers over to the son to express, the sorrow for the passing of the king. And the new king was evilly influenced by his council. And they said, "How do you know that these messengers aren't coming here so that way they could spy and see what's going on here with our kingdom now that the old king is gone and you being new king, you need to stand up and take action against this, because more than likely David has another plan and not a plan of peace." Okay? So when the messengers were there, they were taken and had half their beard shaven off. And back then, the longer the beard, the thicker the beard, it was a significant meaning to them because it showed signs of wisdom. And so they had half their beard shaven off, and their clothes was cut off on the backside so that their back end was completely exposed and open to everybody. So they were humiliated by this, right? So they got sent away, and they had to leave the kingdom in front of all his people with half their beard gone and their rear ends exposed out into the open. So King David finds out about this, and he's upset about this. But what he does is he tells the messengers to don't come back yet, to go to Jericho and stay there. Your beard will grow back. Okay, your humility will be gone. Your beard will grow back, and things will be better for them as far as like the way that they felt about things. Now what happens here, what we're seeing here is sometimes being obedient to a higher purpose, to a higher, living to a higher standard of someone else that they set before you, such as God has a higher standard living for us believers. They followed and were obedient to the King David. And as a result of this, they went away, and of course within time they grew back. But before all this, at the time of their beard growing back, the Armenians decided they wanted to wage war. Now once again, this is a young king that had been taken over the kingdom and was easily influenced by the older council, and they probably pumped him up and got him thinking like, yeah, you better stand your ground. Just because your dad did what he did doesn't mean that you have to be the same way. And had he been the same way as his father, things might have gone different for him. So when David finds out this and finds out that the Armenians are being hostile and wanting to go to war, David said, okay, well, let's get this thing going then. Got his arms together, they went and they stomped them out. Stomped them out and scared their allies. Their allies were like, we want no part of this. We want nothing to do with this no more. Nothing to do with them. So where am I going with this? Sometimes doing the right thing or being obedient to a higher calling, it can be disappointing because you're doing things that you don't normally want to do, or something that you don't want to do, but you do it anyways. Okay, because maybe the person in a higher position, higher power, is telling you to do it, and you haven't got that choice. And sometimes we do it because we're reached inside the heart, and we know that what we're being asked to do is what we're supposed to be doing. So when David told them that their beards would go back, they didn't have to worry about being embarrassed coming back into their own kingdom, David's kingdom, where people would see what had happened to them, would spread around. But hearing and seeing are two different things, because a lot of people say, yeah, well, I hear this happen, but if you weren't there to experience it yourself, it's not as vivid or alive to you as it was to the person that's telling the story or the person that it happened to. Okay? So now, a lot of times, we we go about things the wrong way. We're told things, and we do things with a hard heart, or we do it because we have to, not because we want to. And sometimes we get stuck in a situation where things come out, and we end up upset or humiliated. It happens. Okay, it happens to everybody. But there comes a time in our lives when we need to go and seek God out. When things happening to us, and it's out of our control, and we have no way to get around it. Don't go around it. Go to God. Let Him get you through it. Okay? Because if you go around something, you never fully accomplished the task of overcoming something. And if you never truly overcome it, then you can't put it beneath your feet, such as a sin in your life or a problem that you have. But when you come to Christ and you're a born-again believer, Spirit-filled, you have what we call unlimited strength, unlimited ability to do and go further and beyond that of what normal people can, because we're not carrying the weight and the burden on ourselves. We give that burden to Jesus. Jesus carried it. Jesus is the one that took on the sins of the world. Okay? Now, with that being said, any type of sin is covered. Everything. It doesn't matter whether you stole or you lied or you cheated or whatever the case is. Getting someone to forgive you may not be the easiest thing to do. But within time, if you're wholehearted about it, maybe you will be forgiven, maybe you won't. That's the other person's problem to bear, because as long as you've done the right thing and you can't do no more, then you have to leave it in God's hands. And God's hands are able to do anything. So damaged relationships, a bad day, whatever the case is, just give it up to God. So they left it in the hand. David left this whole thing, he left the messengers in the hands of God, so that way they'd have time for their emotional wounds to heal, their beards to go back, and then when they come back, they were like if nothing had happened. Okay, a lot of times God will wipe out the memory of bad things and replace it with something good, but you have to be willing to let God do that work in you. If you're not willing to let God work with you, then it makes it a way more difficult for you to get past things. Okay, so in the end, God ruled. David and his army, they won. And what's to be said about that? God is the true champion. God gives the victory. Victory belongs to God. Victory was given to Jesus the day that He rose from the dead. Okay, He was put on the cross, died, spent 3 days of suffering for everything. Iniquity. In case you don't know what an iniquity is, I'm going to explain that to you. Iniquity is sinning and knowing that you're sinning and willingly doing so, even though you know you shouldn't. How many of us are guilty of doing that? Right here. Right. And it doesn't matter what it is. It also comes out to you knew better and you did it anyways. Okay? We take for granted the grace and mercy of the Father when we go and ask for forgiveness for something, and we continue to keep on doing this, and then eventually comes a point where we're like, why even ask God to forgive me? I'm just going to do it again. That's because you gave up and you quit. God didn't call you to be a quitter. He called you to be an overcomer. Okay? Overcome these things. Not on your own, but through Him, through the help of Jesus. Okay? Because we cannot do anything on our own. Alright? Jesus is the vine, we're the branches. We'll bear much fruit if we abide in Jesus. Without Jesus, we can't do anything. Bear much fruit. People may not always understand that, but when you do good things happen for you. You plant a tree, take care of that tree, it puts out fruit. The fruit is good. You eat the fruit, you save the seeds, you spread the seeds, you get more trees, you get more fruit. Okay? So that could be used then in an everyday situation of your life. You're a person just like anybody else. You come to Christ, you let Him change your life. You willingly let Him change your life. You submit yourself. In other words, you're saying, I give in to you, God. Less of me and more of you daily, is the way that you should be. Because the more that you have God in you, the less you have to make up for it, the less you have to be guilty of. When you put it in terms of being spirit-filled, if you're spirit-filled, the word filled is giving you the answer to it all. You're filled. But a lot of times, when we're not in the place we should be, we become contaminated with a lot of stuff that we take in, a lot of things, bad feelings, things we see, thoughts, okay? You know, it becomes damaging. It becomes damaging to where sometimes we feel a lot like those servants, like, I did the right thing, why did this happen? Sometimes it's dependency that's needed to be built up with God. Sometimes it's a lesson to be learned. Because Jesus never said that your walk was going to be easy. He said that there will be people that persecute us, there will be people to pick on you, talk bad of you, say things, try to hurt you, harm you. In some cases, in the Old Testament, New Testament, there were people that gave up their life for what they believed in. If you give up your life for what you believe in, you're a martyr, but are you dying for the right causes? There's only one cause that should ever be a martyr for, and that's Christ Almighty. Okay? That is a true martyr, is to die for something that you believe in. I believe in Jesus. If I had to give my life for Jesus, yeah, it'd be a scary thing. But I know that in the end, where I'm going to be and who I'm going to be with. So is it worth it? If it helps somebody else and it saves somebody else's life, greater love has no man that would lay down his life for a friend, then I guess I did the right thing, right? No, I know I did. Because there is no guessing. Clarity comes from Jesus. Confusion comes from the enemy. And if you're confused about the things that you're told, things that you see, read, or do, you need to find the clarity. The answers are in Jesus. They'll always be in Jesus. Okay? Don't go by the words of simple man. Don't take my word for it. Pick up a Bible and read it and find out for yourself. I'm just here because my purpose is to try and share it with people, try and bring people to the kingdom of heaven for Jesus. Okay? Just like you have people that usher people into movies and come in and here's your seat. I'm kind of like that. All right? I am called to lead people to Jesus. My brother, Jared, is called to be a teacher, to teach people. My other brother is called to be a worshiper. Those three things right there. Somebody to lead you, somebody to teach you, and somebody to help you get into a relationship through prayer and through music with the Spirit of God in one whole sitting. Okay? So, without good dirt, you don't have much. Without water, nothing will grow. Grow from the living water in Jesus Christ. Thank you. God bless you. Take care.